morning, Yankee fans. We are witnessing history right here in the BX. Aaron Judge is having a season for the record books. Social media has been having an absolute field day whether or not the Judge is going to be the American League most valuable player this season, with his only real competition coming from pitcher-slugger Shohei Ohtani of the LA Angels. Now, I get the WAR stats debate and the fact that Ohtani is a modern-day version of Babe Ruth as a pitcher and a slugger. But Judge entered the stretch run in the month of September, not only carrying the Bronx Bombers, who, honestly, fans, they've been falling apart at times of late, but also in leading the league in, get this, homers, RBI, runs, WAR, on base, slugging, OPS plus, total bases, and extra base hits. And in his stellar defensive play, his clutchness, and captain-like ways. And I don't care if former Yankee ace CC Sabathia thinks Ohtani deserves it more. Not only do the stats paint the picture that I've just laid out for all of you, but the rest of the narrative makes the case for Judge being more than MVP. It makes the case for him challenging the top 5 seasons by a Yankee in the franchise's illustrious history. And here's my top 5. This may surprise some, but I'm going with the Iron Horse at number 1. That's right, the pride of the Yankees. Lou Gehrig had a season to remember in 1927. The 27 Yankees are widely remembered as one of the game's most dominant juggernauts, and Gehrig, of course, was key to that. He earned AL Most Valuable Player honors in a year when the Murderers Row lineup powered the club to 110 wins and a sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the World Series. Playing in all 155 games, of course, Gehrig batted .373, leading the circuit with 52 doubles and a then record 173 runs batted in. Added 149 runs scored, 18 triples by a slugger, and 47 homers. His 117 extra base hits that season are second only to Babe Ruth's 119 in 1921, and his 447 total bases are third all time. Steve Hurt, a friend of mine, formerly of the Elias Sports Bureau, once said that Gehrig is the most complete player of all time. And when you really look at the numbers, that could be hard to argue. I mean, it's just the last decade that we watched Derek Jeter pass the Iron Horse as the Yanks' all-time hits leader. Oh, captains, my captains. See, folks, on my list, it's not all about home runs. That's why Ruth will come in here at number 2. His 1927 season, as great as it was, clearly finished second to Lou Gehrig in the MVP conversation. More on that a bit later. That says a lot when you consider that Ruth set a single-season mark for homers that stood for more than 3 decades in that season. Ruth's 1920 season stands out to me, though. No one had hit 30 home runs in a season to that point in time. Ruth set the record in 1919 with 29, and then, of course, would go on to do even more in 1920. The Sultan of Swat went out and showed that it is possible to belt 54 home runs in 1920. That was the first time that Ruth out-homered the entire league. The Browns were second with 50 homers, and the Boston Red Sox, without the Babe for the first time, finished last. Ruth led the league in runs, homers, RBI, walks, and on-base percentage. His slugging percentage stood as a league mark until Barry Bonds eclipsed it in 2001, likely using steroids to do so. Another conversation for another day. We recently featured Ruth's exploits on our show in a conversation about his famed called shot in the World Series. Check this out. Look at the numbers of Babe Ruth, essentially 100 years after he has been gone from playing the game, and his numbers are so remarkable, so incredible. Do you still believe that Babe Ruth is arguably the greatest baseball player of all time?
I definitely do. I think that what he accomplished not only as a hitter, and not only as a pitcher. I mean, there's been no player in Major League history who has excelled both as a pitcher and as a hitter. Is remarkable and unique. And I think the way that he separated himself from his peers during his playing years sets him apart in virtually every way. I mean, he was a monumental figure in the game. And I've listened to the baseball historian John Thorne talk about the great players of the game, and he says the 3 greatest players of all time are Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, and Barry Bonds. But I would put Ruth right at the top of that list.
Joe D comes in third on my list of best individual seasons by a Yankee. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak captivated the public from coast to coast in the summer of 1941. The Yankee Clipper from May 15th to July 16th, 2 months of baseball, notched a 56-game hitting streak, shattering Wee Willie Killer's previous record of 44 and establishing a mark that many consider, including myself, to be unbreakable. Joltin' Joe batted .408 during the streak. He went on to lead the majors with 125 ribbies and 348 total bases. The exploits earned him the second of his 3 career MVPs. Can you imagine winning the Triple Crown and coming in fourth on this list? Well, the debate over New York's top center fielder raged on for years in the city's schoolyards. Was it Brooklyn's Duke Schneider, Giant star Willie Mays, or Mickey right here in the Bronx? In 1956, folks, there was no debate, and round to earning his first of 3 career MVP awards, Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown with a .353 average, pacing the majors with 132 runs, 52 dingers, 130 ribbies, and 376 total bases for the Bombers. Mantle edged Ted Williams of the Boston Red Sox, the rival Red Sox, for the batting title and capped it all with a terrific running catch that kept Don Larson's perfect game, the only one in World Series history, alive in the Fall Classic. Let's go down memory lane one more time with the Mick.
Well, I really wanted to talk a lot about Mickey's best season. In 1956, he won baseball's Triple Crown Award by leading the American League in home runs, runs batted in, and batting average. Only the second Yankees player to ever do that after Lou Gehrig, and he won his first Most Valuable Player that season. So in this corner of the display case, we actually have Mickey's first Most Valuable Player Award that he won in 1956, and we also have the Hickok Belt, which is a very special award. They used to be given out to the most successful professional athlete in all of professional sports every year, and Mickey received that award in 1956. The Mantle family was kind enough to extend that loan to us, and those are 2 pieces I'm especially proud to have on display.
Now, I don't think Aaron Judge's 2022 campaign topples any of these 4, but he's certainly in the conversation with my 5th choice, and that's the same man he's talked about a lot with this season, Roger Maris. See, in 1961, it was Maris in the pursuit of a home run record, the epic pursuit of Ruth's single-season mark made for terrific drama. I mean, in fact, the M&M Boys were part of a movie, right, by Billy Crystal. With the M&M Boys of Maris and Mantle battling for newspaper headlines, it may be surprising that the numbers don't rank Maris's 1961 season as highly as one might expect. Yes, he set the mark with 61 home runs, led the majors with 132 runs and 366 total bases, and paced the American League with 141 ribbies. But his 6.9 WAR is 53rd on the list. Judge has been flashing a 9.0 WAR for most of the season. That's good enough for MVP honors, much like Mantle, DiMaggio, and Maris right here. Ruth would have actually won the award in 1920, I think, if there was one. There wasn't one at the time. And you heard me mention earlier that he lost out to Gehrig in 1927, but that could be because of a rule that later changed in baseball. Voters were required to select one player from each team, and player coaches and prior award winners were ineligible at that point in time. Famously, these criteria resulted in Ruth winning only a single MVP award before it was dropped as a rule after 1928. Ruth won the MVP honor in 1923. Judge was arguably robbed of the award in 2017, maybe like Ruth was for those years, losing out to Houston's Jose Altuve, but not on our show and not when it comes to historical context, folks. We won't let that happen right here in the Bronx. This year for the Judge is one of the greatest Yankee seasons of all time, and that's our verdict. That's your look at sports. I'm Bobby C. Stay tuned. More Open back after this.